Hey guys, this is Jabroni, and today I want to show you a video on the Flame Flinger. So here's the standard armory that I use in Legends League. You can see I have 3 super wall breakers, I have 5 balloons. The balloons, they have multiple purposes. They can soak black-seeking air mines to protect a baby dragon or to protect your healers for the Queen Walk. They can also be used on a mortar to take down a mortar to help create a funnel, or to take down a mortar to protect your Flame Flinger. I like 5 Pekkas. I only like to bring 4 healers because my Queen Walk doesn't last very long. The Headhunter can be used to help a hero get through an enemy hero. The Quake is to activate the Town Hall. I prefer to have 5 Rocket Loons because they will shoot out very fast once the Flame Flinger eventually times out and opens up. But that's not the only option. You might not have a clanmate who can donate Rocket Loons. So other options maybe could be Max Valks, maybe some Yeti, maybe a Pekka and some Valks. The Flame Flinger will open up a lot of walls around the Town Hall area. So having other troops like Valks or Yeti or a Pekka could still be very helpful. They can then get to some other structures that were opened up because of the open walls. So that's something you could consider. You could maybe also do like 4 balloons and a Dragon Rider. That might be a decent option. I've tried max hogs, but hogs just die off very quickly. And sometimes there's giant bombs near the Town Hall compartment. So if that's the case, having max hogs coming out of the Flame Flinger with no heal spell might not be the best option. And so one of the things you need to know with using the Flame Flinger is the main enemies to the Flame Flinger that will make it die off very quickly. Those enemies could include, as you just saw here, mortars, ground expos, which can reach at a very large range. Surprise Teslas can be a major enemy to the Flame Flinger. So can traps such as bombs, giant bombs, skeleton traps. All these things can make your Flame Flinger die off much quicker than you ever intended to go. Another thing you need to know about the Flame Flinger is that it will not target the Town Hall unless you use a Quake spell on it. Without that Quake spell, it's going to continue targeting other defenses around it and then could eventually be targeted by the Town Hall's fire beam. So you need to use a Quake spell very early with Flame Flinger attacks. I have found that the base designs that work the best for the Flame Flinger are the ones where the Town Hall is at a corner, not being protected by too many big-time defenses. You don't want a Town Hall that is in the corner with heroes around it and scatter shots. That's not the kind of base you're looking for. Bases that have the Town Hall in the middle, this is not the kind of base I normally look for with the Flame Flinger ground attack that I'm going to be showing you in this video. My favorite way of doing this attack style is to use the king to help protect the Flame Flinger. And then he also creates one side of the funnel. Now you'll see here I used a balloon. Sometimes you need to use a balloon and a minion to help create part of the funnel on a mortar. You also want to take mortars down because, like I said, they're the enemies, one of the main enemies of Flame Flingers. So using a balloon on a non-max mortar, 1 balloon and the crash of it will take out the mortar by itself. If it is a max mortar, you want to use 1 balloon and 1 minion to take it down. Now, once the king starts to walk in a certain direction, like you saw here on this attack, I started him up at 12 o'clock, and then he started to walk to the left. What I then do is, if I can cheaply use 1 balloon and maybe, something like that to take down a mortar, maybe I will, maybe a baby dragon, which is, I think, what I actually did here on this attack. And then I'm going to start my Queen Walk. Now, the way that I do this attack, I like to deploy the queen about 2 to 4 hour positions, if you think of an analog clock, from where the king started. So here my king started at 12 o'clock, so I'm going to deploy her at around 9 o'clock, or in this case, around 8 o'clock, so that way I can then bring all the Pekkas and the Super Wiz in between to, join the queen to then use jump spells to take down some key targets. I also normally bring some super wall breakers with me. I normally bring 3 in a Legends attack. If you're planning a war attack, you might not need all 3 of the super wall breakers. So as you can see here, I did have to use a rage spell on the queen. That was unfortunate. But I bring the Pekkas with my warden and then my super wall breakers and super whiz, and I will use the warden's ability fairly early, timed with the shots coming from the eagle. Eventually I'll be using my jump spells here to help my kill squad continue along. My royal champion, I tend to use her normally to get the eagle if I don't think the kill squad's going to take down the eagle, or maybe a scatter shot if I think that the kill squad's not going to get to a certain scatter shot. You can maybe also use the royal champion to take down maybe an isolated inferno tower. You have a lot of choices here. And I also like to bring a headhunter with me, maybe to help with the king if he's going to encounter an enemy hero early on, maybe to help out the queen or the royal champion if one of them encounters an enemy hero early on. And then, continue using the free spells where needed. The nice thing about the Flame Flinger, it lasts so long if you can keep it protected. Here you see it on this attack. It continued taking down defense after defense after defense. I didn't even need the rocket loons that came out of the Flame Flinger because this attack went so well on this example. So here's another example. This time I used my headhunter very early because my king took down the enemy royal champion, so I wanted to give him a little bit of help there. Again, you use the king early. I use the king early to protect the Flame Flinger from any possible Teslas, like you can see here in these spaces. I wasn't sure if there were going to be a Tesla farm that popped up, and that if there was, without some kind of protection in front of the Flame Flinger, the word Flame Flinger, really hard to say, without any protection, that Flame Flinger could get taken down very quickly by some surprise Teslas. So that's why I like to use the king early on. Now, you don't want the king to enter the town hall compartment. And the reason being is because you don't want him to pull out the CC troops before you've ever gotten your queen down and your Pekkas down. You don't want those enemy CC troops to target the Flame Flinger, because if they do, it can make the Flame Flinger die way too early, and it might not then ever get the town hall, and that would obviously be bad, because that's the main reason I used the Flame Flinger on a Pekka Smash attack. So as you saw, I used, like I said earlier, the Warden ability early once I got my Pekkas and balloons and super wizards to join with the queen. My jump spells are down, and I just continue, using the jump spells and the rages to continue the kill squad going. At this point, I'm trying to contemplate, where do I want to bring my royal champion? So I wasn't sure if these scatter shots were going to come down, so I think I end up deploying the royal champion, if I remember correctly, somewhere from 3 o'clock. Maybe I'm remembering wrong. Oh, yep, here she is. I wasn't... So this is a little bit different. Normally I use the royal champion to take down the eagle or scatter shots, but in this case, they were already going down to the queen and the kill squad, so I used the royal champion to take out the wizard tower over here in this 3 o'clock corner, and then the cleanup whiz came down. And I forgot to mention that on the first attack I showed you, you obviously want to have some wizards for cleanup. If you didn't use the minion along with the balloon to take down a mortar early to help create the funnel, then you could use the minion also for cleanup. This was another attack where I didn't really need the rocket balloons that came out of the Flame Flinger because it went so well. Now, the third attack I'm going to show you here did not go quite as cleanly. Now, this was a war attack, so this is a little bit different because whenever you do a war attack, you don't need to necessarily stick to your standard Legends League stock army. So you might recall how I normally just bring one baby dragon, and I bring normally 3 super wall breakers. Well, with the way that this base was designed, I figured out that super wall breakers were not going to give me that much help. You can see these little square compartments here where there's, wizard tower or the elixir storage. Well, they kind of make super wall breakers not work out as well as you would like, because instead of being able to target one of these walls over here, it's probably going to target one of these walls around the wizard tower. So I did not bring any super wall breakers with me on this attack. Instead, I brought 2 baby dragons. One of them I use here to create this part of the funnel. And the other one I use over here near this mortar because I also wanted to take down one of these elixir collectors to just try to prevent my queen from walking that way. So another thing that made this attack unique is I initially thought, now, keyword initially thought, that I didn't need to use my king to protect the Flame Flinger because it looked like that there wasn't enough of a gap between the structures for any surprise Tesla farm. Well, silly me, there was a spot right here for a Tesla, and it does target my Flame Flinger, and so my Flame Flinger will end up dying a little bit earlier than I would like. More on that later. So instead, I just brought the queen or the king over here, just a little bit to the left of where I started that one baby dragon. And then I start the queen walk. The queen walk doesn't last very long with this attack. So that's why one of the reasons I only bring 4 healers. I like to have a little bit more. I'd rather have like a 5th Pekka instead of a 5th healer. At least that's the way that I've been doing it. Obviously, you can customize this to your own needs based, depending on the base design and things of that nature. I did bring a Yeti over here at 9 o'clock with a wizard behind. Part of the reason was to start up the cleanup early. The other reason is I wanted to make sure I got this wizard tower down, and then maybe also a cannon, because I wasn't sure if my kill squad was going to get that wizard tower or not. I also was hoping I could maybe prevent the kill squad from pathing outside here around the edge. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. They still ended up going that way, but that was the reason I brought a Yeti on this attack where I don't normally bring the Yeti. I brought the Royal Champion this time to target this scatter shot. The reason being is because I had a jump spell here and then another jump spell here, and so there was no way that my kill squad was going to get to that scatter shot, so that's where I decided to bring my Royal Champion. Now, as you heard me say earlier, that Tesla that popped up surprised me and ended up targeting my Flame Flinger. So I fortunately was able to notice that, so I knew the Flame Flinger was going to die a little early. So that's why I saved a freeze spell for when my rocket balloons came out, so that way I could make sure that they took down the town hall. And they barely did. I think the very last rocket balloons damage crash was enough to make the town hall go down. But another reason the town hall went down, I don't know if you've been noticing, with the Flame Flinger, it has this like burn effect, kind of like the lava launcher or whatever it's called in the builder base. So it's that effect of it continues to boil the defenses that are there, and so that also helps them to slowly melt away, especially Teslas. If the Flame Flinger targets Teslas, the burn effect will actually melt the Tesla away after just one shot from the Flame Flinger. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, this one was not as clean. It did end up working, obviously. I still had a Pekka left over and the Barb King and a few healers and the Grand Warden. So guys, this attack style, very base specific. It is not something that's going to work with every single base. Let me show you another example of attack that it did not work well. This one was only 57%. You can see here the town hall is in the corner, but you got heroes around it. You got the clan castle near it. You have scatter shots nearby. This is not an ideal base style for this Flame Flinger ground attack. Not the best kind. You want the town hall to be in a corner, but not surrounded by heroes and scatter shots and the clan castle building. So this has only ended up being 57%. I wasn't even sure what to do on this base with this kind of attack style. If the town hall's in the center on Legends League, make sure you have a blimp to switch to. That's what I normally do. So that way I still have a way of targeting the town hall safely, because obviously if the town hall is in the middle, there's no way the Flame Flinger is going to ever get that. Now, the question on some of your guys' minds, can this attack work on the box base, as this style has been known, where the town hall isn't really in a corner, but it is near an edge? And then you have the eagle a little bit more centered. Normally, I've seen a lot of styles that have the air sweepers pointing in the same direction, and the infernos are in a line like you see here, and the scatter shots. It's a very symmetrical type of base with a hero near each scatter shot. Anyway, this style of base, very annoying. So can this attack style work? Well, maybe. The mortars, a little problematic here. How am I going to get those mortars down? Where am I going to put the king? I don't want the king to wall break into this compartment. I've even sometimes seen this style of base where these corners are actually left open. So that can be tricky. You don't want your king to go into that compartment and then get in the radius of the CC and lure it out. So what I did, I guessed that I was able to get a baby dragon to take down the mortar, and I did guess right. I could have maybe used, if this wasn't a Legends attack and maybe it was a war attack, I could have maybe used something a little bit beefier, maybe an Electro Dragon, but maybe that would last a little bit too long. So a little trickier here. I did use a baby dragon, was able to get the mortar down, thankfully, right before the baby dragon died. And this, unfortunately, ends up being a 99% time fail, and you are going to see why. Let me fast forward this a little bit because these attacks start to get very repetitive. Oh, since I used the baby dragon down here, I needed to have a way to prevent my queen from walking to the right, so I used one of my 5 Pekkas over here, and then he eventually starts traveling, or she eventually starts traveling off to the right. I wall broke both of these 2 sections here, so that way my king could take out these structures to prevent my Pekkas from going that way. I want my Pekkas to go to the middle. So that's why I wall broke the 2 separate sections. And then, where did I put my royal champion? Well, here was a mistake. I don't think I timed the headhunter correctly. And so I think my royal champion dies out to the king. Maybe not. I am not remembering this correctly. No, my king was taken out by the Pekkas. Oh, I never used a poison spell. Why did I not use the poison spell? I guess I lost track of the Lava Hound. I should have used the poison spell on the enemy royal champion. Maybe that could have helped. But ultimately, what made this attack not work is nothing, except for that one Pekka and the owl, which died. Nothing went to that single target Inferno, and I didn't save a freeze spell for it to keep that one Pekka and the owl alive. So this just didn't end up working, and I guess the Rocket Loons... Skeleton Trap kills my Flame Flinger. Rocket Loons don't make it. Again, maybe if I would have saved a freeze spell there. Although all those air traps, air bombs, seeking air mines, they kind of killed the rocket balloon. So anyway, this is a 99% time fail. But if you're curious if it can work on these box bases, the answer is maybe. You might need to have some more advanced planning than your traditional type of use for this attack style. So keep that in mind. All right, a couple more things. Like I said, you don't want the king to go to the town hall compartment, because if he does, he can end up targeting, not targeting, but luring out the enemy CC troops. So on this attack, what I did is there were 2 mortars right here, so I was able to take them both out, and then putting the queen to the left of where that mortar used to be, there's only one direction for him to go because he always goes to the next closest building. And so that way, there was no chance for him coming into the town hall. Notice there was an open wall. Those are sometimes the trickier base styles to prevent your king from not going in that town hall compartment. So that's something to keep in mind. Another thing you got to keep in mind, you have to remember to quake the town hall, because if you don't, in full disclosure, on this attack that I did with Jofleva, I forgot, silly me, I forgot to quake the town hall until very late. And so what happened, as you're about to see eventually on this attack, is that, here I'll fast forward, the Flame Flinger is very slow. It eventually ends up in range of this town hall. Really bad news, because, I think at this point I Did I eventually quake it at this point? Or maybe one of the shots from the Flame Flinger hit a defense. Yes, it must have hit a defense nearby, and it must have then tapped the Town Hall a little bit, which then activated the Town Hall's Inferno. Bad news. So now the Flame Flinger dies way too early, and yeah, the Town Hall never went down. Obviously not good. Another thing I want to point out real quick, you don't always have to do this attack with Super Wiz and Pekkas like I do. I would imagine that maybe Pekkas and Yetis could also work. Say you don't have Super Wiz unlocked. Or maybe some kind of bowlers or super bowlers could possibly work. Now, bowlers' health, not very high, although I guess Super Wiz don't have super high health either. So that's why I like to have like 5 Pekkas, because they have very high health. The health on Yetis isn't too bad either. But those are some other options that you could possibly use for some kind of ground smash attack with the Flame Flinger. The last thing I want to mention in this video, there is a possibility that instead of using the Flame Flinger to target the Town Hall, you might use it to target the Eagle. Now, if you're going to do that, and you're going to do a ground attack, or maybe even like an air attack, which is actually what this video or this replay right now is actually going to be. I used dragons and dragon riders. But if you're going to use the Flame Flinger to get the Eagle, then you're probably going to want to have your king take down the Town Hall. The king can actually do it almost by himself with very little support. Now here I brought the queen behind. Again, this was an air attack, so I was also using the queen to help create this side of the funnel to give my dragons a predictable path. But the point is, if you're going to use the Flame Flinger to get the Eagle, then you need something to get the Town Hall. And you don't want that something to be your kill squad, because again, the whole point in using the Flame Flinger to normally get the Town Hall was to prevent your troops from going through the enemy the Town Hall poison. So if you're going to use the Flame Flinger to get the Eagle, then you're probably going to want your king to get the Town Hall. All right, guys. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. We'll see you next time.